Hello and welcome to my shop. Today we're going to be solving one of my long-standing problems, which is using Mastercraft sawhorses. If you've ever used these, you know that they're probably one of the most unstable ways to do a project. Constantly falling over, we're going to fix that. I've recently purchased a new welder and decided to purchase a welding table as a result. The table itself is not much taller, unfortunately, than the sawhorses. So we're going to work on building a rolling workbench center with a built-in welding table, as well as the new miller machine I purchased will go underneath of it. Now I've gone ahead and marked all of these using my speed square in a section on an angle. I want the tips of these to fit together perfectly so we don't have any strange gaps, and then we don't have to look at the end of any tubes. So I've done it strategically so that I can get 2 out of one 12-foot piece. Just saves some material, saves a trip down to the store. There's a lot of ways you can go about cutting this. You could use a bandsaw, which is probably what I prefer to do if I had one. I'm going to stick the old Milwaukee angle grinder, cut it out, make some sparks, and hopefully we don't burn a hole in our shirt. Again. That's the problem we're hoping to solve here. Now that that's done, we're just going to proceed to do the exact same thing for the shorter side of the table. I'm going just under 6 foot for the long side, just under 3 foot for the short side, so it tucks nice and neat underneath that welding table. It'll also give us the option to put a rail on for expandable projects, which we'll kind of dig into a little bit later. All right, so now we've got our pieces cut out and our end pieces beveled as well to match. It's time to square this entire thing up. Now a lot of people will probably just say, you know, throw a speed square, call it a day. In my experience, that's never actually accurate for making something square. So the best way to do it is always to measure corner to corner and ensure both of those measurements are the same. So we're 79.25 on that measurement there, and 79 3/8 there. So the entire thing has to shift about 1/8 of an inch that way, which we can do after we've tapped our initial welds. So we'll just set up our miller machine. So it's already there on 14 gauge. We'll start out with the existing settings and then adjust them from there if need be. All right, so now that that's all tacked up, we can go ahead and weld everything up and then just repeat the same on the other side. Now it's important to note that with this material here, I didn't get a perfect cut on this. It's never going to be perfect unless you have a nice metal bandsaw. So there are going to be some gaps when we're welding. We're just going to adjust the wire speed a little bit to be able to fill that in. Most of this is fitting pretty well, but you know, there's always room for improvement. Make sure you hook the ground up. Alright, well, as you can tell, I'm not a professional welder, but luckily I am in fact a professional grinder. Flat discs were invented for guys like me. Always glasses. So I'm just going to use this scrap that I have laying around of 3/4 inch, cut it down to a few strips, and then you'll see what I'm going to do with it over there. So I've got the entire top of this spaced up 3/4 inch from here. I've gone ahead and cleaned up the paint from along the edge of the welding table. I'm going to throw some tack welds in here. As well on the inside, you'll see there's bolt holes. I'm going to go ahead and bolt it in just to give it a little bit more rigidity because this table is going to see a lot of heavy abuse. Now this is called a self-threading fastener. So it actually has a little kind of tooth that'll cut out, allow you to drill a little hole, 1/4 inch on this one, and just fire it right in. Oops. I've already gone ahead and pre-drilled the rest of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim these flush here. Now it's time to cut out the legs. I want this to be about 41 inches, so I'm going to go ahead and section out the straps and we can go from there. Now I've gone ahead and notched out the end of this tube in order to fit around the bracket. Alright, so this thing is getting heavy, so we're going to try to get it on the wheels so we can move it around a little bit easier while we're working on it. I got these casters on Amazon because, of course, support Jeff Bezos so he can buy the moon. We're going to go ahead and follow the same process that we did on the top. Going to mark out our 3 locations, the Sharpie. We'll pre-drill these and then put in the same fasteners as before. So now I'm working on the slides that are going to hold the welder. Now I don't want the ends to be wide open, so I've gone ahead and sectioned out 1-inch section there. We'll go ahead and flip this over, get it down our new work surface here, and you'll be able to see we can just easily bend this over so that it's a nice clean end that we can weld up. Nice rounded over edge. We'll weld the 3 sides, give it a quick grind, and we'll have a nice clean finished end. Now we'll just do the same on the side. As you can see now, we've got them all nicely cleaned up. It's a nice easy way to close in all the ends of these tubes so we don't have any open ends. I'm going to go ahead and start measuring out for the drawer slides and get the welder mounted up. Now I've got my slides ready to go here. I'm going to go ahead and measure out the width of my machine, which is 11 inches between these two. Make sure it's nice and flush with the front. Clamp the front down, go clear onto the back, do the same thing. I've intentionally left a space beside the welder. I'm going to have my 2 bottles of gas there. That way it's easy enough for me to reach in through the side of here to turn the gas on and off even while the cart is put away. In order to do that, I'm going to weld a U-shaped piece that's going to hold either side of the tanks. Now essentially what I've done is I've closed in another piece of the 2x1 065, the thinner steel. It's going to act as a pullout on the front, basically using the stick wall tube as a slide mechanism so that I can double my workspace on here. So that'll slide in and out. And don't be a dick, clean up every day before you go to the beer fridge.